And can we just, before we go to break, because we have lots of time with you, so we'll talk about the movie, but there are new additions to your family, and I want to hear their names.
There are.
And where you...
We got 2 golden retriever horses.
Uh-huh.
They're 3 to 4 times the size now, and they're pretty. They're not very bright.
No.
They're really not. I love them dearly, but it's like living with models. They're super pretty. But they're not that smart, and you know what? They don't have to be, because everybody just gives them things because they're pretty.
Yeah.
So it's like, they'll never come out of that cycle. They literally will go up into the yard and like catch a breeze, and I will look out and I'm like, my God, it's like they found a wind machine. And like their hair is blowing, I'm like, they know where to find like their light and the wind, I'm like, but then they'll like run into walls, and I'm like, oh, yeah. But they're cute.
Yeah. And have you made the mistake of throwing a ball yet? Because you should never start that with those dogs.
They also, yeah, and they make noises when they get something in their mouth. They don't do it when they don't have something, but the second you give them a toy, they're like, and it's panic. It's like caught in a bear trap sound.
It's hilarious.
And it's like an on and off switch. I mean, I have done it where I'm like, it's the most frantic.
What are their names?
Sorry about the sound person must love that. Homer and Harper. And they don't know.
They don't know their name.
They don't know. They have no idea. We call them like Bubbles and like Habisham, and they just are like. I've never met dogs that like do not know their names at all. It's kind of fascinating.
That's hilarious. All right, no one's going to be getting a golden retriever after this.
No, but they're sweet.
All right, but you have a dog that is still your dog and still loved, like...
Yes, well, because the dog was our first kid.
Yes.
But interestingly enough, she has taken on, we have 2 dogs, but the one that's been our dog forever, Lola, yes, the best. She's taken on this protective attitude.
Is that your backyard? Where do you live? Where's that?
That's the Griffith Park Observatory,
Okay.
Los Angeles, California.
All right.
But she's been really protective, and the other day, we were sitting on the bed, which is kind of towards the back of the house, far from the front door, and we heard squealing, and I said, God, this kind of sounds like some sort of a dog fight. I hope it's not a coyote. And after about 30 seconds, I said, I better go check on our dogs. I walked to the front of the house, opened the door to see Lola and a German Shepherd-sized coyote in a fist fight on the lawn.
Like this?
Yes!
Oh. Wow.
And then of our other dog, Pat, who's utterly useless and always writing checks his butt can't cash, somehow was on the bed with us, like as perplexed as we were as to what the sounds are. Even though he's a dog.
He's bigger.
He knew what the sounds were. So the coyote then, when it sees me, just like a vampire from Twilight, flies over the 7-foot fence, and then Lola just kind of sat there stoically. That was Pat's cue to run out and bark for like a half an hour. I mean, it's just...
And stay out.
Yeah, exactly.
Wait, so were they really like in a fight?
Oh yeah, big time. And it happened.
Is Lola okay?
She's only had one little scratch, but we, as responsible pet owners and parents, took her to the vet, the like emergency vet, and the vet said, oh wow, yeah, fight. She must have been tussling with a possum. And I said, no, it was a coyote. And she said, well, no, I think she wouldn't have fared this well if it were a coyote. I said, well, Toots, I saw it. Well, Dr. Toots, it was a coyote. I saw it, and my dog rules.
Yeah.
So...
Yes, she does rule. Good for Lola.
Yeah, we call her now the grandmother security system, because she's 12 years old.
12 years old?
Yeah.
And fought off a coyote?
Yeah.
Well, good. And hopefully...
She's a baller.
Good. She is a baller.
Yeah.
All right, we'll take a break. More with Kristen. Good for you, Lola.
She wears pearls.
Well, of course she does. She should wear pearls.
Yes, she's a lady.
Yes. Yeah. Does she have little white gloves as well?
No, I wish.
You should do that.
We got to.
I'll get you some.
She was a Playboy bunny for Halloween.
Wow.
She was also O'Brien from Downton Abbey one year.
Oh. Maybe she went out towards the coyote because of what you're doing to her. Maybe she was
trying to get out.
Where are you living now?
I live between Washington State, Paris, London, and LA.
Okay, so where are the animals? Because you have a lot of animals.
Because there I have my sanctuary.
You keep them there.
Not.
They travel with you?
You know, I don't travel with them so much anymore because I travel too much. It's not good for them. But before, I used to travel with them to every movie, which was always a nightmare. You know, I show up to movie sets sometimes with 5 dogs. I don't have little dogs because, you know, I pick them up from the street and they never send the chihuahuas to the street. You know, it's always like some kind of strange dog that it's medium or big size, and they got me into a lot of trouble. I mean, I have some really nightmare stories of when I used to travel with my dogs to the movies, but I really cherish them. I think the worst one was one time I was in a very luxurious hotel that didn't want my dogs, and I begged them and convinced them, and they said, okay, we're gonna give you this little house that had a fence. You couldn't see inside of the hotel, and it was just a room and like a courtyard. And we were shooting very late this movie, and then at night, I would walk and I would run there. Lupe, which is now 17 years old.
Wow.
And she's the smartest dog I've had, and her sister, I only took 2, would open the door and wait for me in the courtyard for me to let them in. One day, this is a very luxurious hotel in the Bahamas. I arrive and they're not there. They ran and they went ahead of me, but when I arrived, they're not there. And then I hear this screaming and big commotion. And I have to tell you that Lupe loved cake more than anything in the world. You don't know how many birthday parties were ruined because also she would like get on the counter, go up, open, she'd find the cake. And I said, oh my God, this sounds like a cake. I look like hell. I have running mascara from some crying, seeing her like this, Bermudas, like flip-flops, like really you wouldn't wanna run into me like that. And there's a beautiful wedding, people. I'm sure everybody flew in. And what do I see behind a palm tree where I'm hiding? I see the beautiful wedding cake in a little table with 2 chairs for the bride and the groom. Instead of the bride and the groom, there is Lupe and Angie sitting perfectly. And everybody's trying to get the dogs. And they really are not mean dogs, but they were faking it really well. This is what they would do. They'd like, eat as fast as they could, and then they would go, full of merengue, all over white. And then they go, oh my God, and they're all screaming. The bride is crying. The good news is that I have all kinds of whistles for the dogs, and they know that when I whistle in certain ways, they better come right away.
Uh-huh.
And of course, they went like in a cartoon, and they ran all the way. They ran all the way to the little cabana. And I arrived later, and they're going like this.
Oh, no.
I have so many stories with my dogs.
Right.
I'm glad I took them.
Yeah. And those are the ones you rescued off the street?
They are all, except for one that's a gift, and the one that just passed away that I rescued from an abusive movie trainer.
Uh-huh.
They're all from the streets in different countries, never from a shelter, always from the streets.
Good for you. That's amazing. I love that you do that. We're neighbors. We live in the same town, and yet our dogs see each other more than we see each other.
With frequency.
Yeah, our dogs are on the beach together every week.
Yeah, that's right. It's incredible, and they're very good friends.
They are good friends, and they.
Yeah.
Ours are the 2 brown ones. Mine is Wally in the middle, and hers is George on the end.
With the little, no, not on the end, in the middle, with the little white.
No, that's mine.
No, it's not.
Oh, well, then mine's on the end. I don't get to see her much. Mine,
hilarious.
But Wally has a little white thing, so I guess George.
So Georgie has one too.
Yeah, and he's larger than Wally, and he's more well behaved than. I mean, Diana's making him do that, but
Yeah.
does George do that on his own?
Yeah, George likes the camera for the most part.
Really?
George, let me tell you something about George.
All
He's
right.
a total pandemic puppy. We got him during the pandemic.
Yes.
And so he's very used to us being at home, and he's very attached.
Oh.
Which is fantastic until it's time to leave.
Right.
And recently I had to go to New York for something, and so I was in my bathroom and just like getting last-minute cosmetics and things together, and I look up and I see, can we show that picture? Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, just staring at me. He knew what was going on, and then I continue packing, I throw my bags together, I start to go down the stairs, and this is what I see as I'm going, look. He's just waiting. He's waiting, and then, you know, as soon as I left, he had diarrhea, so it's perfect. He's a dream. He actually is a dream. I love him to death.
No, he is a good dog. That's because Diane said he's very well behaved. And,
Yeah.
and that is hard to get a dog during the pandemic because then you do have to,
Yes.
at some point, leave the house.
Yeah.
And then they get stressed. But
Yeah, but he's adjusted.
that's mine, though. You're holding mine there.
No,
right?
I am not.
No, that's
that is
yours?
absolutely my puppy.
All right.
Yeah.